Ron, so good to see you. A really important topic today. Retirement spending peaks earlier than you think. Here's a number that should change how everybody thinks about retirement. 12. That's how many years the average healthy 60-year-old has before their mobility, energy, and independence start to decline. That's from the Office of National Statistics. Do you think this data would surprise most people?
Yeah, I think so, but I think it's going to be like on two different ends of the spectrum. I talk about and put out content as far as planning for a long life, planning for a 25 or 30-year retirement, and making sure your money lasts, simply because that's a retiree's number one biggest fear is running out of money.
Yeah.
And so I find that those people really appreciate that. But on the other end of the spectrum, I find that there's a lot of people who are convinced that they're going to die early and they better take their pension and their Social Security as early as possible because they want to make sure that they get their money that's coming to them. And so I think for those people to hear that I have 12 really good years of retirement, more than a decade where I'm going to be spending a lot of money, I think it would be surprising to those people.
Now that we know the data, your retirement plan should reflect it. Your plan shouldn't be designed, like you mentioned, to produce a flat income over 30 years, but to support a rich early retirement and a more modest one later, because that's how you will actually live, whether you plan for it or not. And this has a very common name here. Explain what we're looking at, Ron.
Yeah, so these are the three phases of retirement. That first phase, and it's usually the first 5 or 10 years of retirement, is called the go-go years. And that's where people are going to have the most energy, the most vibrancy to be able to go out and do all of the things that they had planned on when they were creating their bucket list or creating their dream retirement. But at some point in time, as their health declines and as they slow down, they enter this second phase called the slow-go years. And at that point, their spending, at least for discretionary items, pretty much falls off a cliff. The last phase is the no-go years, where they're not really too active at all. They might just be staying at home, or at this point, they might be living in some kind of assisted living community or something like that. That's where in retirement, we really have to focus on front loading the spending into those go-go years. And I think that the financial planning community has really done a poor job preparing people for this dynamic, going all the way back to the 1990s with Bill Bengen and the 4% safe withdrawal rule, meaning that you have to kind of start retirement with a certain level of spending and pace yourself and do an inflation adjustment throughout the course of 30 years, which means you're going to have a lot of income later in your 90s, but you're probably not going to be spending that amount of money later on in your life. And that's where I think it's really important that we come up with some solutions and strategies to be able to front load the spending that we're going to have in the go-go years.
Right. And on that note, the data backs it up. According to the Institute for Fiscal Studies, retiree spending on travel and leisure peaks around age 75, then drops, again, not because the money ran out, but because the capacity to enjoy it did. So have you found that to be true?
Absolutely. And for everybody, it's going to be a little bit different based on their health and their genetics. But that's what we find. It's around age 75. So if somebody retires at 62 or 65, getting back to what you said, that's where they have that 10 to 12 years of where they're going to be spending a lot of money. We really need to look at solutions to front load their spending in retirement, but to do it in a way that's going to be safe and is going to be predictable and maybe have some guaranteed income solutions in there and making sure that they have a lot of income up front in retirement, but to where they're not going to be putting themselves too much at risk of running out of money later.
Right. The tough part is we are so conditioned to save. So a lot of people spend the first decade of retirement worried that they're going to deplete their nest egg.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a paradigm that I've heard other financial advisors talk about as well. And I've seen it called living a just in case retirement or a what if retirement, where these folks, when they retire, they have this paradigm where they ask themselves questions like, well, what if I live into my 90s? Or what if the stock market crashes? Or what if I need long-term care? And they're constantly asking themselves all of these what ifs. And we end up seeing this paradigm where what happens is they don't spend their money and they don't spend their money and they don't spend their money. And then they die. And what happens to the money? It goes to the kids. And then the kids spend the money. It's the kids who buy the boat. It's the kids who take the cruise. Right. It's the kids who travel the world. And I'm not saying that leaving some money on is a bad thing. It's not. But what I'm saying is this is your retirement, and we need to put together a plan for you to do the things that you want to do with your money, again, while also creating enough safety and guarantees that your money can last into your 90s if you live that long.
Right. Talking this through with you, to me, the takeaway, retirement planning isn't just about saving enough. It's knowing when to spend it too.
Yeah, absolutely. And being somebody who focuses on that transition from your accumulation years into your retirement income years. That's really where my expertise and where my passion's at. And that's where we're really looking at strategies that are really helpful for this retirement spending. Things like maximizing Social Security, things like maybe implementing some guaranteed income solutions like annuities, making sure though that we do have enough money left in our investment portfolio to give us enough growth over time to offset the effects of inflation, because some of these expenses aren't going to go away even as you age, things like food and utilities and property taxes and insurance. So we do need to have some measure of inflation there. So it's really about getting a personalized plan that's going to balance all of these competing goals: the need for liquidity, the need for income, the need for growth. And I think that's where working with a personalized financial advisor can really, really help.
Yeah, it helps because it brings peace of mind so that we can spend that money and have the retirement that we all work so hard for. It makes sense. Ron, if somebody
Absolutely.
would like to sit down with you to create that plan, what's the best way to reach you?
Well, they can reach out to me at my website at www.snellerfinancial.com, and they can book a consultation right there using our Calendly tool, or they can also call our office to book an appointment at 248-499-9676. We actually do work with clients in more than 40 states. So we're set up to do everything virtually. So that's why we offer complimentary consultations through Zoom. And it's a great thing to be able to get really good personalized financial advice from the comfort of your own home. Although if you are in the Metro Detroit area, we'd love to see you here in our office.
Great. Ron, thank you.
Thank you so much, Erin.